beautiful friends. It's Amanda here, and today, as you can see, we're gonna do a pretty massive lip product declutter. I have these two plastic tubs that are just sitting on the shelves, the white shelves that you can see behind me when you see me talking on camera. These have just been collecting. They've been a catch-all for a lot of lip products for me. And it's just time to have a more reasonable, more organized storage system so that I can actually get better use out of the lip products in here that I genuinely really like. In today's video, I'm gonna focus more on talking about my process than the actual individual products, why I'm keeping each one or decluttering each one. I'll touch on that a little bit, but I'm gonna focus more on the process of decluttering as a whole. Personally, I just think that's a little bit more interesting and a little bit more useful, I suppose. At least I hope. Ultimately, when I declutter things, if I were to focus on the individual product decisions, I would end up repeating myself a lot. And I end up decluttering things that I genuinely like and I think that they're good lip products. I just don't have the space to store everything. I don't have the capacity to wear everything. And I would love for stuff that's not being used by me to go to somebody who will use it. So I do end up decluttering things that I like sometimes just for those reasons. I also feel that when I declutter, I don't typically agonize over decisions. I'm not going for trying to curate a specific number of items in my collection. I'm not trying to be a minimalist. I really tend to just take the approach that for practical reasons, I need to have less stuff and I have to make decisions of stuff to get rid of. So I just go through things pretty quickly. I feel like I make my decisions easily. I don't like to do a maybe pile. So when I'm going through the individual products, if I were to tell you why I made a decision on some things, it's really just genuinely because something's gotta go, and that's the thing I picked. But there is a method to my madness. I first sort everything into categories. I found a couple of things, like there was a mascara in here randomly. There were a couple boxes of Glossier lip balms that I hadn't even opened. I ordered them last holiday season, so I just completely took those out because I'm going to give those as stocking stuffer type gifts, but they just shouldn't be sitting in here just like the mascara shouldn't have been. So I go through everything. I'm going to sort into more traditional type lipsticks, lip glosses, lip balms, and like lip treatments. And then lastly, liquid lipsticks. So I went through both of these tubs. It was close to 200 lip products in here, sorted into those categories. And then I'm going to break down each category, do some swatches, and try to pare them down that way. I find that it's a lot easier for me to make declutter decisions when I have a small group to choose from instead of just looking at everything and feeling like I don't know where to start. What should I get rid of? I feel like if I have that starting point of the categories, it helps me get into that swift decision making mode. So, the very first thing I do once I start sorting these categories and pulling small groups to declutter, I will quickly pull out anything that stands out to me as this is a favorite, this is a must have, this is something I would definitely miss if I didn't have. And then I'll pull out anything that is what I call archive worthy. You'll see me do that a little bit at the very beginning where I pull out the Desi and Katy Dose of Colors lipsticks and the Vlada lipsticks, the Petal Metal collection that she did with Smashbox many, many years ago, which is one of my most beloved product packagings of all time. And an important part of this method, the quick grab and save a couple, is that I keep it really limited. I am trying to be very, very picky with that initial pulling of products. So it's just things that I absolutely know are important or irreplaceable in my collection. And that's not a lot of stuff. Honestly, I really did a good job of keeping the must-haves and archive pulls to a minimum. The next thing that I try to really quickly spot and move through that decision is anything that looks off, anything that is visibly just funky, iffy, really separated, or things that are just broken. There's one liquid lipstick that I'll encounter later when I try to open it. The whole stopper pulls out. It's busted. It's time. That is just trash at that point. So I can get some of those rapid fire decisions out of the way really quickly as to moving things into a declutter slash trash pile and into a keep pile. And that initial quick success in decision making really helps me feel like a morale boost to keep going through all of this stuff. And this filming of this footage took me 2 days. I had over 2 hours of footage that I am editing down to create this video. I know it doesn't sound like much in the course of a regular adult day, obviously, but 2.5 hours of swatching and decluttering definitely starts to give you decision fatigue. So I really rely on this initial boost to propel me through this entire 2 tubs full of lip products. This LORAC and Beauty and the Beast collection is obviously archive worthy. This is another throwback. I'll tell you how many years old my YouTube channel is because I have these in the archives. Since I'm not going to talk about each individual product, I do want to make a list somehow of what I'm keeping and what I'm decluttering, even if I don't go through the whys of everything. So I'm going to either list everything in the description box if it will fit. I do have a character limit in the description box, so I'm gonna figure that out somehow, some way. And it might take me a while because this is a ton of products to figure out and match up and list. And that's just gonna take me a few hours of work, which I think will be worth it. That way, this video can serve dual purpose, for those who are more interested in the process. You can listen to my voiceover, and for anybody who's more interested in the products, then I'll make that list available. And if you happen to be both, then I am working on that list if it's not already ready. All right, so once I've gone through and done that initial sweep for the quick, easy decisions, the must haves, the archives, and the instant trash, then I start to sort these categories into kind of mini groups. Sometimes I sort them more by color, like swatching all the reds together or trying to swatch a lot of the nude shades together, something like that. And sometimes I do it by like brand or a formula or a line. Like I'm gonna make sweeping decisions on some of these things. Like I'm going to decide to keep all of those Milani Color Fetish matte lipsticks just because I know I like them. I like photographing them. I like wearing them. Some of the colors I like more than others, but I'm going to make a sweeping decision based on like a line there. Whereas with other things like my Maybelline lifter glosses, I initially thought about, oh, I'll just keep all of them because I like these, but I ended up only keeping a couple of my favorites from that line because I just knew that it wouldn't be as useful and I didn't like wearing all the colors as much. in comparison to these Milani lipsticks that I was referencing earlier. So, just whatever I think is going to help me make the best and easiest decisions. I don't always make a sweeping decision. I don't always sort the whole similar line of products together because it does benefit me, for example, with bright colors like bright reds and things like that. I don't necessarily want to keep as many like colors or dupe type colors as I will with nude shades because I just wear percentage wise neutral and nude lips so much more. So it makes sense for me to pare down brighter shades, fuchsias, reds, things like that to keep a lower number. So I like to group those shades by color. I hope what I'm saying is making sense. I feel like I might not be doing the best job explaining what I mean. And obviously, that process isn't going to work perfectly for everybody. I think you really need to fine tune how your brain works, how you want your collection to work for you. For example, some people really benefit from doing a numbers oriented goal for decluttering. Like they want to get rid of half or they only want to keep 20 or something like that, which I think that is spectacular. If that's what works for somebody, if that's what helps you make the best decisions, then I think that's 100% valid. That's not the process that works the best for me, for my collection, for my lifestyle, and I guess just for how my brain decides things. For me, it feels like less pressure if I don't have a designated number goal in mind. So for me, I just prefer a looser goal. And basically, what I'm going for is I have some new storage drawers that I want to fit into. And I actually still have space to grow ultimately, spoiler alert. I got rid of a lot of stuff, not quite half, and I was easily able to fit what I kept into my new storage solution with some room to spare. And another one of my goals when I'm decluttering is really making space for new things. Based on my job, there are a lot of new lip products that are bound to come into my life in the next few days, weeks, months, I don't know. And I like to review things. I like to test new products. I feel that the more things that I try and the more things that I'm able to give a really info-based review on, the better I'm going to be at this work and the more helpful I'm going to be able to be in the beauty space and the review space. So, one of my goals is to have a little bit of room to grow because inevitably there will be new things for me to review. And certainly, hopefully, fingers crossed, I'm gonna like a lot of it and I'm gonna want to keep it in my collection and add it to my makeup routine. And lastly, in my little loose set of goals that I have for myself for this declutter and really anytime I'm moving things out of my collection, is I want to try to pass on as much product as possible to other people who will use it more than I will. Obviously, my current storage solution, if you want to call it that, is just unorganized and it leaves me with a lot of underutilized products. And that's some stuff that I really like too, that I just lost in the depths of these bins. So it's better to declutter things while they are still useful because they could be passed on to a good home. And that leads me into my next little section, my little talking point is what happens to the things that I declutter. And these products basically go in 3/4 different directions. So, obviously, the things that are no longer safe to use, anything that's just old, funky, crusty, dusty, or broken dried up, otherwise unusable, will go to the trash. That is a very small percentage of where my declutter stuff ends up. Now, anything that can be sanitized, I will do that so that I can either safely donate it or pass it on to a family member or a friend. I do have an organization that I can donate lightly used, sanitized products to. Obviously, some lip products, even if I only lip swatched them or wore them very lightly, some types of products cannot be sanitized to be donated. So, a bullet style lipstick or anything that doesn't have a wand going into it is pretty safe to say that I can safely sanitize it, but anything that has a wand that goes inside, if it's one of these products that I lip swatched once or arm swatched once, there's even plenty of things in here that I encountered that were 100% untouched. But a lot of these very lightly tested products that I just can't, for safety reasons in good conscience, donate. Like a matte liquid lipstick that I lip swatched one time, I think plenty of people would agree that a family member or a friend is totally fine to take something like that. Obviously, I will always let my friends and family know if I used it or not, right? Of course. But I can't really donate something like that, even though, in my personal, non professional, offline, not medical advice opinion, is that I would be totally fine with using a matte liquid lipstick that my friend lip swatched one time and taking that over. But I wouldn't be cool with donating that. So, those are the places that these declutter products go. And this sort of fourth place is very rarely I'll find something that is unused in the box, but it has gotten put into my personal makeup storage and I just never got around to it. I might put something like that in my save for subscriber giveaway box. Generally, I will put that stuff more towards my donate box. But every once in a while, if I find something cool, or like if a brand has sent me doubles of something, that's happened a few times with Huda and ColourPop. They'll send me kind of a restock of a product that I've used before, and I just toss it in the bin. And then later I think, oh, this is a product I really like. I should put this in a subscriber giveaway. So those are the main places that this stuff goes. Very little of it is wasted, very little of it is put into the trash. I have found that declutter videos can get some pretty negative reactions, and I understand that. I definitely understand how looking at all of this stuff, seeing all of this product and just the amount and realizing, the monetary value and how it seems like it might be going to waste. And I could see how that idea is really upsetting for someone, especially for someone who, doesn't have the luxury of so much luxury stuff. And all of this is luxury stuff, despite the fact that this is not only my hobby and my interest, loving makeup, but using this stuff is also, part of my job. It's part of what I do on YouTube. And it is still a luxury. I 100% understand that. So I really want to reassure anyone who may be feeling those feelings, like, first of all, totally get it. Don't disagree at all. Absolutely. And most people don't need this much stuff. I mean, do I even need it? Probably not. I can probably make videos without the amount that I kept, right? But I just want to reassure you that I try to be really thoughtful with my whole declutter process. And I try to find a great balance between, I keeping a lot of makeup. I love having a makeup room. I take pictures of makeup, I make videos with makeup. So I try to find a good balance between that very large makeup collection and also making sure that things are going to be used, making sure that I can donate as much as possible and recommend a lot of things that I actually really like that I can pass on to the people around me. And I try not to let so much of this end up in the trash. So I'm doing tons of private decluttering, basically just not filming it and putting on YouTube and talking about it. But I try to keep this process running in the background all the time so that I can make sure I move things along in their usable window. And I just prefer doing smaller portions anyway, even smaller than this. This felt like a big declutter move to me, and this is nowhere near an exhaustive lip product declutter. I really was just going for those two storage bins because they were driving me crazy and they were over full, and I just don't enjoy or find that I really benefit from exhaustive declutters. I have lots of other lip products elsewhere. A lot of my favorites are already either in a makeup bag or in my bathroom or in my car or in my purse. I didn't go hunt down all of those things. And I also obviously have tons of ColourPop lipsticks that weren't in this little bin. They're in my ColourPop storage area. Believe me, I have basically a ColourPop museum in this office of mine. But I do think that doing an exhaustive declutter is just, first of all, too big. It would take me hours and days to film and edit that footage. And I would be so burnt out and so sick of the process of decluttering. I'd probably give up halfway through. I can imagine that there are certain people whose decision-making process is actually helped by having everything like Marie Kondo style laid out, and then it may bring into focus what you want your end result to be. I absolutely imagine there are a lot of people who benefit more from one big, huge declutter versus me being somebody who definitely does better with micro dosing that declutter. Although I will say, despite the fact that I enjoy smaller micro declutter type of processes like this, and I do that for things like my closet and other areas of my life as well, the downside of this type of process in particular is I do always feel like I need to be doing it. I feel like I constantly am saying, oh, I need to clean out my jeans or I need to clean out my kitchenware, whatever it may be. I do think that that might be a benefit to doing an exhaustive declutter is feeling like it's done, whereas I never quite feel like it's done. But then again, my point of view is that, particularly with beauty products, my possessions are always in flux anyway, because obviously I'm getting new stuff, I'm testing, I'm reviewing, I'm comparing. And, ugh, side note, the fact that I do so many palette comparisons in my videos definitely gives me the most top-notch excuse for never decluttering my palettes. That is one thing that I really do struggle with declutter-wise, and I did honestly, about a month ago, go through and declutter quite a few palettes, more than I have at once in a really long time. So, I'm working on it, at least I recognize it. The first step is admitting that you have a problem. So, Maybe it's good that I don't do so many lip comparisons because I don't feel the need to hang on to all of these because I might hypothetically one day need to compare them to something else. There have been a few rare occasions where someone requested a comparison that I couldn't do because I had decluttered, and I'm telling you, of course, I was kicking myself and using that to negatively reinforce my idea of I need to keep things for comparison purposes, some hypothetical future comparison situation. I wanna note here, you're seeing all of the declutter stuff go into one box together. I will go through and sort all of that stuff out because there are some things that need to be trashed, there are some things that are safe to be donated. So I'm gonna go through and sort that box later. I'm not divvying that up now. I'm really just focusing on the declutter portion of the process. And you know that by this point, my brain was toast because somehow in the footage here, you'll be able to see that two of the products that I pulled for my initial, I know I love these, I know I want to keep them, that Tower 28 lip balm. It's the vanilla ube one. I love it, and the ColourPop lip tint where all the writing on the packaging is worn off. It's one of my favorite go-to ColourPop lip products. It has been for years. So I automatically pulled those two and set them off to the side in my little initial comb through process. And then as I was swatching, my piles kind of got mixed up, jumbled up somehow because at the end of this portion, you'll see me toss those two products that I pulled initially into the donate box. And then I realize it later when I am putting the rest of my declutter stuff in there. I'm like, whoa, hey, why is this in here? So my brain was just scrambled. I was on day 2 of filming this declutter by this point, and I was just obviously not thinking straight. So I can't even imagine what kind of cuckoo decisions I would start making if I tried to do an exhaustive multi-day complete lip product declutter. As I'm in the process of editing this footage, I don't think I'm going to individually title all of the lip products because of the amount of hours it would take to go through and figure out which swatch is which and then label them accurately. I think it would add another day or two onto this video release timing. Talking individually about close to 200 lip products would be an even more excruciatingly long. It would probably have to be a set of videos, and I'm certain that I would lose my voice trying to do that voiceover. I actually can't believe I made it this far into this voiceover. I've been talking for over 28 minutes now, and I do hope that there was any sort of continuity that you were able to follow along when I was explaining the process here. And I really like just watching the swatches and not necessarily discussing each product, but I find that the whole sorting process and swatching process is oddly satisfying to watch. So hopefully you will feel the same way. I did notice some trends for myself as I was going through this decluttering process, and I think that can also be a useful part of this whole thing as well. Not necessarily super surprising or revelatory type of things, but I did see a trend towards obviously, a lot more lip balms than, for example, matte liquid lipsticks. Just percentage-wise, I kept a lot more hydrating type of lip products, which obviously is not a revelation because that's very well known to be my preference. But ultimately, I feel good about having a lot more lip balm or lip treatment type of products because I know that I go through those a lot more frequently. Now, I may go 1 month without finishing one, but then the next month I'll finish like 3 or 4 different lip balms at the same time. So that is something that I feel like I get my money's worth from owning and using a lot. They just have a high use value for me. Whereas when it comes to a matte liquid lipstick or a long wear type of lip product, I'm not going to use those up very frequently. And when I reach for products like this, I also do tend to go for a certain type of color. As you can see from the swatches you're looking at right now, I mean, there are plenty of lip products in this little swatch that are honestly probably ridiculously too close to one another to justify keeping them. And in some cases, I still do keep them because, again, that use value factor, I am more likely to use that and more likely to use up more of it. So I don't feel as off base having multiple lip products that are similar in color. But I also, on the flip side, know that I'm not going to wear, for example, oranges, corals, reds nearly at all. So I'm going to go more based off of keeping the quantity of that color lower. But something that was surprising to me was how many lipsticks, like the traditional lipsticks, I wanted to keep in comparison to lip glosses. I thought I was going to be way more on the lip gloss keeping and traditional bullet style lipstick decluttering. But when it came down to those game time decisions, I was surprised to find myself keeping a lot more lipsticks than I expected to. And I found myself able to declutter a lot more of my lip glosses than I expected I was going to. So, definitely some interesting trends I noticed for myself. And I also found myself rediscovering a lot of products that I instantly remembered, oh, I really liked this when I reviewed it, and I just hadn't used it in a while, obviously, due to my horrific bin O lipsticks, the terrible way that I was storing this stuff. So I think I'm gonna be reinvigorated with some of these products. I'm feeling re-inspired by some older favorites that I haven't used in a while, or maybe even some products that I initially liked on review, but just didn't give enough rotation time as I was going through my monthly makeup use. So I do feel like I could benefit from some sort of more structured system of rotating through my stuff. I really don't gravitate towards the idea of having a weekly makeup lineup because I want to be free to explore whatever I want to enjoy at that time on that day. And I also want to keep my makeup wearing and reviewing schedule open and flexible because I got to tell you, I don't know ahead of time when I'm going to receive certain products. There are collections that are revealed to me either at the same time as everybody else is seeing them or very, very shortly before they're revealed when I can start posting content about them. So I need to keep my options open and keep my face available to wear some new makeup that I might need to test at the drop of a hat. So really structural, rigorous, like Excel spreadsheet type of use up makeup process doesn't really appeal to me. It doesn't really work for my personality, first of all, because I will just change my mind and decide on the fly all the time. But it also doesn't work just for work purposes, being able to review things purposes. But I do think that there could be an in-between type of solution. I think that there could be a way where instead of saying, "This is my makeup for the week," I might just pull out something I haven't used in a while, set it on my vanity table, and say, "All right, I'm going to find a way to use this somehow this week." And maybe that is still allowing me my free-spirited decision making and, review flexibility, but it's also finding a way to work in some of this stuff that definitely can get left behind in the shuffle if I'm not careful. Whew, all right, that's it. That is the very last round of products that I am swatching and decluttering or not decluttering. I can't believe we made it through together. I appreciate anybody who stuck around and watched and listened as I rambled for over half an hour. You're the real MVP. I appreciate anybody who made it this far. I would love to hear what your declutter process is like. Is this something that is part of your life, whether you are a makeup collector, reviewer, or whatnot? I always love to hear what you think about things too. And I would love to hear how this process could be more useful to you as a viewer. If there's anything that you want to hear me talk about or questions about the process or anything, just let me know down in the comments below. And always remember that I'm proud of you. You are special and awesome, and you deserve a little snack. And I love your face, and I'll see you real soon. Okay, bye.